All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the REI Nation Facebook group live call this afternoon. I'm very excited about our guests today, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves in just a couple of minutes and tell you a little bit about them, about themselves and our relationships and how we're doing. So we invite everybody that's watching the call today, and we appreciate you being on here. Hopefully you would hit the like button or the love button or share this with other people. That's how we grow our group. Today we have over 1,500 members in the group, have added almost 400 so far just in August. So the group is growing very quickly. And I think that's because we're putting on there pretty good content on there. We keep a lot of the advertising stuff off of there if we can and try to bring good content, good videos, a lot of questions on there from time to time with our investors. And Chris does a couple live videos every week, updating a lot of stuff on Premiere. And I've been doing these 2 o'clock on Wednesday live calls for about 8 or 10 weeks with a lot of our great clients on here. We have 2 more today. And we urge you to like this and share it, and then put any questions you may have in, and we'll certainly answer those. And we'll get into it here for a few minutes. So without any further ado, Jim, will you just take a couple of minutes and introduce yourself and tell us about your background and how you got started, and take it from here. Welcome to the call.
More than happy. Thank you for having me, sir. I feel privileged. So I was born and raised in Louisiana, and went to the University of Alabama for my undergraduate degree and came back here. I went to Tulane for grad school. Probably around 2016, a lot of my buddies were doing real estate investing, and they were full-time investors. So they were doing things that were really just beyond me. I've got a job running an engineering company. It's a good job. It's not really in my wheelhouse to be able to go start buying, rehabbing, and running construction crews. So I started buying stuff around here, a double, a duplex, a fourplex, et cetera. Pretty soon rents started to not keep up with the cost of the homes. So the math just didn't work. I mean, where I live, if I see a 0.8 on the, 1% rule, if I see 0.8%, it's a deal you got to jump all over in like a day or it's gone. So I started looking for opportunities. I still believe heavily in the real estate model of wealth creation and cash flow and passive investing, especially with the right properties and the right property management system. I investigated a bunch of them and landed on Memphis Invest, now REI Nation, in 2017. Bought 2 properties, quickly realized that the property management I was used to here was terrible. And the property management that you guys do is just a different level from what I was accustomed to. And since then bought 9 more. And as soon as I work some stuff out on my end, I'll buy some more.
Wow, that's a great story. Thank you very much. Jim, who's going to do the talking for you guys, or both of you? We welcome you both on today. Welcome to the call, and you have the floor.
Great. Hey, again, thanks again for asking us. We're really excited to be here and to tell our story. We purchased our first property probably about 15, 20 years ago in 2003. We bought a single family home near us because we knew that purchasing real estate was really the path to creating wealth. We just sat on that property for about 15 years. I managed it myself. We bought something close to home so that I could take care of it. Fortunately, we had only 3 tenants in about 12 years. So that was good. They took good care of the property. But as we started to get closer towards retirement planning, we wanted to create some cash flow. And even though this home we had for 15 years here in California, you make your money with appreciation, not necessarily cash flow. So we ended up buying another property in Chicago, a duplex. That worked out real well for us for a while. But then as we got closer to retirement, we wanted to really put that cash flow plan in place. And so we sold our California property and used a 1031 exchange. And that's where we met. That's where we met you all. We did a lot of research on bigger pockets and looked at a number of turnkey organizations. Unfortunately, the group we were using in Chicago, we just weren't getting the level of service that we wanted, and we're real hesitant to increase our portfolio there in Chicago, as well as we just wanted to diversify geographically. That's when we started talking with Mark Cobb. Great guy, very informative, professional, just really helped us through the process. He understood about 1031 exchanges. And we ended up over about a month period back in 2017 purchasing 5 properties with y'all. 3 in the Memphis area, and then 2 in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area.
Wow, so you've really gotten going pretty good then, haven't you?
Yeah, we did, and we again, it was part of the plan, because for us, we were looking to generate that cash flow for our retirement portfolio and to diversify our portfolio more. We don't necessarily right now have plans to buy more because this is just working so well for us.
Well, tell me, when you first started looking at properties with us, what were the things that pushed you towards us, that the city that you decided to buy in, and what led to all of that? How did that decision making go?
So again, we did some research. We looked at a number of turnkey organizations, just where they were, what their models were. Some were, they only wanted you to pay all cash for the properties, no financing involved, which didn't really work for us. But as we looked at Memphis Invest back in the day, we just continue to see lots of positive experiences as posted on Bigger Pockets. And then we reached out, and fortunately we got a winner with Mark. And he took good care of us. We really wanted to diversify geographically. We didn't want to all buy in one state, just because of whether an economy goes bad in one area. We still got some properties in another area that might be well, or you got natural disasters or what have you. So that's, and at the time, those seemed to be the 2 hot areas for you back in 2017, that were a lot of properties were being renovated and offered up to investors. So that's why we chose those 2 areas.
Well, I think that was a wise decision. And as you guys know today, maybe don't, we're approaching 6,300 properties, 7 cities. We're in, of course, Memphis and St. Louis and Little Rock, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Dallas, and Houston. So I want to announce on here today, and most people don't know, there's a few people in our company know that, but we're now going to open up San Antonio and start buying houses in San Antonio. We released our buying team this week to get started on that. So we're going to take a look at that city and kind of run it out of our Houston office to get started. So we've had a lot of our Texas buyers are asking us about other cities in Texas. So we're going to we almost went into San Antonio a couple of years ago, but we kind of pulled back, and I think we went to Little Rock, maybe in Oklahoma City. But now I think we're going to venture in there and give it a shot. So I'll make that announcement today. You guys are the first to hear, along with everybody that hears on here. But let me go to Jim. Jim, tell us about how it all started.
Sure. So my wife and I believe in the real estate model. We were going to Houston for a visit for something else anyway. We visited the Houston office, met the people that ran the group down there. Bought one in Houston and one in Dallas. My personal objectives have always been to diversify geographically, something that Dan said. So right now we have some in Houston, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Little Rock, Memphis. We're looking to add more. I like being spread out. I live in a place that's very susceptible to weather. So that's another reason I don't want to have everything here anymore. I have 14 units in Greater New Orleans that are, one really bad weather event away from being a very big insurance headache.
You're so right.
So I like spreading out. Also, when I was looking to say some more things about Dan, I looked at a lot of places too. Probably the same people y'all dealt with in Chicago. I looked at one point. The two biggest things that kept me with y'all was y'all don't sell a property without the rehab at first. A lot of companies expect you to buy a trashed house, and then you buy it trashed and hope that the rehab is going to result in something you want to have that will get rented. That's not how y'all do it, and that makes me happy. The other part was that it was important to me that the management group be the same, or at least run by the same people that run the rehab, that run the sales, so that if something's wrong with the rehab, or if something goes bad in the sales process, the people running the management group, I can call them, and their response will be, well, look, we didn't sell the property to you. Somebody else sold that property to you. So those were two huge assets in starting the relationship. And since then, the team that you have assembled and the way you run the team, and I've had a lot of conversations, some with Chris, some with Mark and Kerry and others. It's a very well-run organization. I don't say it to blow smoke. I think you should be very proud of the level of customer service. When people ask me about why I work with you guys and what to expect, I say, really, they're a customer service company that rehabs and runs houses.
And that's what, as Chris traveled around the country talking before the COVID, and then I think his thing was that we're a customer service company that's in the real estate business. And I'll get into that in a minute on how important part of our business and success has been to that. But Jim, how important is the property management side of the business to your success? And then I'll ask Dan and Gloria the same thing.
It's really impossible to overstate it. I'm not going to be in Houston, Dallas, Arkansas, Oklahoma. I'm not going to be there. I need someone who I can trust to be there to make this work. It's to say it's a part of the team. It's 99% of the team. Sure, you need an accountant. Sure, you need a lawyer. Sure, you need these other things. But without the person that's screening the tenants, placing the tenants, dealing with the small repairs, dealing with the large repairs, and then making sure I get paid, that's a pretty important part of the job. So again, I don't want anyone watching to think this is some panacea. It's real estate. There are tenants that go bad. There's a great story I can tell you about our Houston tenant from several years ago. There are people that get in trouble and can't pay. That's all real. But having a management company in place that handles those things, I don't think I can say fiduciary. I think that's a legal term, but essentially behaving as if they care about your money like you would.
Yeah. Well, that's again, the property management side of it. When we first started, the first 300 or 400 properties, and I've talked about this at events before, we were not a very good property management company. And then we had to learn, and then we incorporated all the customer service thoughts that we had into it to make it a well-rounded property management company. Because some of the things that we heard is that investors couldn't get answers on the phone, couldn't get calls returned, couldn't get answers about repairs or vacancies or anything. And so we had to just to redo the whole model and make it much, much better than what we had. And we think it's the best property management company in the country because of some of the things that we do. And then we come over the top of property management with 7, soon to be 8 ladies that are in our customer service department that follow up and call you as investors and owners every single month. That's our narrative to them. A new investor that comes in that just now coming on board and buying their first 1 or 2 houses, then we ask our customer service ladies to call that investor every single week for the first 4 weeks to make him and her or her to feel great about what they're doing. They can go to bed at night. They don't have to worry about the property. We got it. And then after that, after they're a little bit relaxed and the pressure and the stress is off, then we get into the routine of calling them once a month. And we're here. The customer service department is here as a concierge service, so to speak, to get you the answers, be your liaison between everything, find out what's going on, get you the answers, good, bad, or ugly. Okay, they may have maintenance, or they may have you a new 2-year lease, and you just never, you don't know what. And most of the time, it's always good. Today we're in our meetings a little while ago, our collections for the last 2 or 3 days before we get to the end of the month are fantastic, and we look at those numbers every single day, and it's important to us that and then Chris goes on live a couple times a week and talks about those numbers. But the property management is the straw that stirs the drink, so to speak. It keeps everything going. And if people can't find a really good property management company, and that's why we have so many, when we announced that we were going into St. Louis, we ended up getting more properties there that people wanted us to manage their properties because they had a property management company that they didn't want to continue with. So we went into St. Louis, and the very first week we had like 40 or 50 properties, and we only bought 3 or 4 houses. So that grew quickly like that, and same way in some other cities. But what do you think, Dan and Gloria, about the property management side of the business to your success? What has it meant?
Well, it's primary importance. It's primary importance for us because we were able to retire early, and what we're really looking for is passive income, right? So I don't want to have to worry about the leaky faucet, the bad toilet, the turnover, having to find new tenants or such. I was really looking for a property management company that would take care of all of that. It's not that I'm totally hands off, but I want to be hands off. And what's interesting is that we didn't really know how bad we had it with our PM in Chicago until we came to REI Nation and just saw what just a total level above anything we had experienced before. Because I had managed my own property before. Your team there, we have Carrie Wilson is the one that takes great care of us.
I think both of you, yeah, she's awesome. She does.
Yeah, she's friendly. She's professional. If there's anything she doesn't ever know right there on the phone, she goes and tracks it down, and we get an email or a call very shortly.
Yeah, the communication, the level of communication is just been excellent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no surprises have ever come our way because we're always informed in advance, which we appreciate.
Yeah.
Well,
and so yeah, the just one last piece there. You know, the sale and the acquisition of the property is kind of a one-time event, right? It's that ongoing management month after month that where you all really shine. And for us, that's a top priority, and you're just nailing it.
Well, thank you. We and where that customer service pays off is that we sell about 70, 80 houses a month, and 50% of those are people like you, that are our current investors that buy more houses.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other half is new people that come in. And without the customer service side of it, and without the level that we try to do that, we know people aren't going to buy any more houses. Who wants to go through that misery if it's terrible, all right? But if they have a really good experience and we're doing what we should be doing, where you can go to bed at night and put your head on the pillow and don't have to worry about the properties, that's our goal. And we're the boots on the ground. We got it covered. We're all over this Houston and Louisiana thing this afternoon because we have about 250 properties in Houston. So we'll be on the ground around there tomorrow. I think we're okay. We're north of I-10, most of our houses in Houston. And the last time that big one came in down there, we had 3 or 4 houses only that got flooded. But we're not on the Louisiana, unfortunately, happens to be on the right side of the eye of this thing coming in. And that's always where there's more rain and wind. And Jim, as you know, down there, the right side of the hurricane is so Houston's going to be on the left side of it. It looks like we're going to take some wind and rain, certainly, but we'll be out tomorrow evening, whenever that thing moves on through, make sure. And then of course, we're always available for our residents down there to call in. So, how much time do you guys spend a month reviewing your portfolio and talking to Carrie? How does that work? Let me start with Jim. How does that work monthly with you taking a look at your overall portfolio?
So I suspect I'm not the average passive investor. I'm an engineer by education and trade. I really like numbers. So I have a few different reports set up, and I'm always tracking collections month to month and maintenance month to month. And but that's because I like it. It's not necessary. I could probably do this, I could probably look at it on the 20th when all the direct deposits have come in, see where it all was, and then not look at it again until the next 20th. But I kind of enjoy the numbers aspect of it.
Mhm.
And I talked to Carrie. COVID's been challenging. We have a couple of tenants who struggle. So I ended up talking to her probably a little more than we normally would. Email's my preferred form of communication. I'm not retired just yet. I'm 44. I think I'm 44. So I do have a day job that keeps me quite busy, and a 4 and a 6-year-old. So I probably spend a lot more time on it than I should, but it's because I enjoy it.
Well, that's all that matters, right? Yeah, if you enjoy doing it. Dan, what do you guys think about how much time do you spend looking at your portfolio and reviewing your numbers and doing that type of thing?
I would think maximum 1 hour a month. I look at the statements, toward the end of the month. I look at the numbers and put it into our tracking spreadsheets. A conversation with Carrie it's usually at least once a month. Those are usually 10-15 minute conversations. So to me, it's pretty minimal compared to our past experience. This is just lovely.
Just send me a check, right?
Right.
Well, and it does work out that way where with the 5 properties that we have, we've, they all got set up with 2-year leases to start off. And that was just great news for us. We've had a couple of turns, but they've all been very smooth. And one of the things we also appreciate about your organization is that the costs for the work that we have done during the renovation, if we turn a property, they're very reasonable. I wish we could get some of those people to come out here to California and paint my house. Because I look at the cost of what you've done or what your vendors do, and we're just really pleased with that, because that's a big component, right, to owning the property, because that comes out of my pocket as a cash flow, and so for us that's just been a great part of it.
And we look at that every month. I see this move out cost creeping up. Our move out cost used to be around $2,000 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. Now it's creeping up to around $3,000, and I'm kind of semi-questioning and pounding on our rehab guys a little bit to negotiate better. And it's a little bit higher in Dallas and Houston, and it's a little bit less in Little Rock and Memphis and other cities. But we're very aware of costs to you guys that come out of a move out. And then, we'll get a $5,000 move out, and somebody will call the customer service lady and not be happy about it. But then we go back and we look and we see that tenant was in there 6 years. All right. So, 6 years, husband and wife and 2 or 3 kids, and you got $6,000. I go back and I say, well, what is that, $1,000, $1,200 a year? That's not too bad. That's not even $100 a month. But nobody wants to spend any money. I get it, and we understand it. We're always trying to keep the costs down. But let me ask another question here. If you were going to give advice to anybody that was considering REI right now, what a new person may be on here that are listening, or a husband or wife or a couple or individual, whatever, what advice would Jim, what advice would you give anybody that's listening to this thinking about jumping in right now?
Well, into real estate in general, I'd say start soon. The best time to buy a house is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And I would say that if you're looking for a passive model, I did a lot of research. I'm an obsessive compulsive researcher. I've got 3 engineering degrees. That's unfortunately my personality, for better or worse. I already did all that work, and I chose these guys.
Very good. Dan?
Yeah, for us, I would.
What advice would you give somebody?
Yeah, again, I would say do your research as much as you, so that you feel comfortable. You are talking about, especially for a first-time investor, and being, more than likely not in your own backyard. Do your research, but I would recommend the property management side. There's just been no problems, and that's exactly what you want. You want people that inform you, they're responsive, questions get turned around quickly. The properties that you offer up are quality properties. I think the prep that you do to prepare them for the investors just really creates a strong rental model, if you will, because the property is really I guess, renovated to be a rental. I'm sure you know what I mean.
Sure.
And that works out well for us. And the handoff between the I guess the sales side of the house to the management side of the house was really smooth. Do your research, look at what your tolerance is for how much money you want to make, and jump in. Don't delay too long. And maybe it's starting with one, and then seeing how that goes for a year, or whatever your means are. But I'd say do it.
What's the biggest?
I'd jump back in on something Dan said. One of the knocks I've heard from other people on REI or Memphis Invest was that the houses are more expensive than some of the other turnkey providers. They're better houses. They're in better neighborhoods.
Yep.
I've seen other turnkey providers offer $80,000 houses, $90,000 houses. Frankly, the Memphis investments cost a lot more than that. I think the cheapest one I've been able to purchase from them was in the 120s or the 130s or something. But if you're looking at return on investment per dollar spent, I don't think that's a fair strategy to say I'm going to buy two $80,000 houses in D and C class neighborhoods, or I can buy one $160,000 house, the same amount of money, and you get a better, more consistent return. So I guess the only downside is you got to wait a little longer to save a little more capital to be able to jump into the game.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about, and I've never apologized about the prices. What I talk to our people and our investors whenever I get a chance to talk to people on the phone, which is quite often now, I talk to a lot more customers, is the value that we bring. And we bring a lot of value. As you said earlier, we buy the houses, we completely renovate them. We spend an average of $40,000 on them. And tenants are staying 5 to 6 years. Is there going to be maintenance costs? Certainly are. There's certainly going to be maintenance costs. Today we have, let me look over here. We had 63 houses available today, and only 3 of them are over 30 days out. So we rent houses very quickly. We get 2-year renewals. Have any of you guys hit our renewal program yet, where we've renewed your house and got 2-year leases instead of a move out? All right. Yep. Instead of a move out. And so those are the things that we talk about, that we bring value to. Some people, they mean a lot more, and to other people, they want the $80,000 house and with maybe a not so desirable tenant possibly. But we do have move outs, and we do have bad tenants, and we do have evictions, and we do go to court every month. And but we think we bring a lot of value. We think we do it a little bit better, but it's, we just, the property management side of it, we just have great people in that department, headed up by Nate. And let me ask a couple final questions. Jim, what's the worst thing that's happened in one of your houses that could have turned into a disaster, maybe with another company, possibly? What's the word?
What was the hurricane that hit Houston? Was that Harvey?
The Katrina?
No, Katrina hit Louisiana. I'm thinking Harvey, like 2 or 3 years ago.
Maybe it was, yeah.
All right, so I think we had a tenant. The house didn't flood, so I was very happy. But the tenant was a good person and let some people come stay with him. He couldn't get them to leave, so he left. And so we had to evict somebody. And I swear, I don't even know how this is possible, but somehow you have to evict someone that had no right to be there at all. Yeah. So we had to evict them. And then, of course, it wasn't their property, so they didn't care that much about it. The turnaround was kind of expensive. And that's whenever somebody's talking to me about real estate and REI Nation, I say, listen, it's a great company, but there's still tenants, and tenant stuff still happens.
And that's why we would rather have the average rent to be $1,000, and hopefully we get a little bit better resident, than have the average property be $80,000 property, and you're going to get a $700 resident, then maybe a different type of situation. So, and there's space for all of those things in there. So that's the worst thing that's happened so far, right?
Yes, sir.
How about Dan and Gloria? What's the thing that could have got really bad?
Well, fortunately, we have not had many negative experiences. We've had a couple of maintenance things. We need to replace a garage door, no big deal. Actually, you had a big windstorm come through. I don't remember which state that was. In Texas, and we had a tree go down in the yard, but that, Carrie was all over that. We got that approved and taken care of. But we do have one tenant that is kind of consistently a little bit slow paying, where they'll pay half the rent in the beginning of the month, and then they can't come up with the rest until the middle of the month. And Carrie and the team out in the field, however that works with that individual and just has set up a plan with them. And if that's how it works for them, I don't care, because by the end of the month, the whole rent is paid. And if that's the way their cash flow works, that's fine. Now, perhaps if there'd been another property manager that said, hey, if you don't pay your full rent in the beginning, we're going to try to get you out of there. And that then the turnover cost and all of that could have been much more expensive for us. But what we find is the communication between Carrie and our tenants really helps that relationship. Even during this time with the COVID, she assured us that they had talked to each tenant and kind of found out where they were at, and if there was any issues, that they'd try to help the tenant come up with a plan of how to pay their rent, which I thought was phenomenal. Fortunately, we didn't have much of that at all. So yeah, that's about the worst story that I could tell with y'all. If I went to my other,
I'll take it.
I have some good ones from the other guys.
Yeah, no, we actually, because, but what's interesting though, can't be property management is so important, all kidding aside, is we had such a bad experience that we ended up selling that property in Chicago because the property management was so bad.
And we've heard those stories before, but man, it's, back when COVID hit, we went into kind of a high alert. I'm sitting here at the conference table in our office where Chris and I and 4, 5, 6 of our other executive team, we went into preparations for this, and we took 8 of our top executive leaders and we put them on in our property management department to start as soon as that March 1st hit and we got to the 5th, and whoever was late, we were on the attack and trying to work out arrangements, seeing what their situation was, seeing if they were going to keep their job. And then we did that. We had this task force all the way through March and April, backed off a little bit of it in May because now they were paying more. But we just went on the attack mode there and trying to work out arrangements. And then we were reporting that back to our owners through the customer service department. But we're just on high alert for certain situations like the hurricane right now. And we'll be all over that the next couple of days with our maintenance department, seeing how we can do. But
I've been pretty happy with the COVID situation. We've had a couple of tenants who clearly need some help and they're consistently late, but as of now, I've got some August rent due, but everybody's been caught up to that date. So,
and we have the discussions in here with Nate about are we going to put anybody out, and we've had to put people out that go way back to January and February, but we've tried to be to empathize with everybody, to have empathy on people and their situations and what's going on and see where we can help. But in the end, our job, like we tell the residents, is to collect the rent for our owners. Will we work with you to a certain degree and try to figure things out that makes it good for everybody? Certainly, then we want to do that because in the end, we want to keep the resident in there because it costs more money for that resident to move out and go vacant for 2 or 3 months while we fix it up or whatever. And so anyway, we're trying to, but let me look at another question here. So one of our listeners, Matthew, is asking if you guys have visited your properties since you purchased them. But let me just preface this by saying one thing before you answer it, that today we know that probably 60% of our investors today, which would be close to maybe 1,600, have never seen their properties, never visited their properties. And we've had people that come into town, just come to our office to meet our people and don't even go visit the properties, which I have no idea. I just don't understand that. But, we talk about our reputation, our credibility, and our integrity is the most important thing to Chris and I and Brett and our family and our team. And we work on that every day. But we did have a listener here that wanted me to ask you about your visits to your properties over the span of the time that you guys have been with us. Whoever.
Yeah, for us, we have never visited our properties. We had all of the during the acquisition process. We looked at the financial details and the spreadsheets, which is an awesome way for us to find out the real facts. And because you can change them, you can move the numbers around a little bit inside the spreadsheets if you're more conservative or if you go the other way. But no, we looked at the documentation in terms of the location, what the pictures before and after.
Photographs.
So no, we have not. We're part of that 60%, if you will, that have not seen our properties or stood on the curb. We did look on. We would research using Google Maps and some great technology to drop in on the street and look at the neighborhoods. And
we've actually never been to any of your offices or met any of your employees in person either.
We'd
So
love
Gotta come and see us. Okay. We so far the last month or so, we've had 3 or 4 visitors. I'm looking at the board up here. We got a couple more coming in next week. So we're starting to we posted a picture yesterday where a gentleman was in earlier this week. So come see it.
Further what Dan was saying on the same subject, the technology now is such that you can get a tremendous amount of information almost anywhere in the United States without having to travel there. When even when I get one from you guys, I'm told, well, look, we don't invest in properties that are in flood maps. I still pull every FEMA flood map. I pull every U.S. Census tract. I pull rentometer data. All that stuff's available to me at my desk. I wouldn't have that available to me standing on the street. And then, of course, I send in a third-party inspector who and look, Ken will probably tell you occasionally the rehab team misses something. I had one where the inspector went in and said, "Hey, they've got this problem here." We had to work it out. That was that. And so I have that guy's eye or that girl's eyes on the ground as the inspector. And I do every bit of digital intelligence that I can ahead of time, including, pretty strange stuff. I'll go into crime maps, every GIS portals to find out how the sewer system works. I'm a nut job. So anyway, I think that I'm very well covered on the research front without having to actually be standing on 96 Southwest 96th Street. I forget the addresses in Oklahoma City are crazy.
Dan and Gloria, any thoughts on that before I get to the last question here?
No, again, I think it speaks volumes when your investors are willing to extend that level of trust and confidence in your organization that they can buy sight unseen. I think a couple of my family members thought we were a little crazy for doing that, but they continue to ask us how it's going. And of course, we tell a great story. So yeah, I think, Jim, you hit on it as well. What was a big peace of mind for us is that we did have our independent inspection done on the properties so that we kind of kept that separate, which worked out fine. But I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with buying them sight unseen. You guys do a great job of preparing and letting us know what we're about to embark on. So
Not to mention that if you're gonna finance the property, you're gonna have a true third party appraiser come through the property, and they don't care what Kent says or I say or you say. They're gonna say whatever they want to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That's the way it should be. But let me ask the final question. I've tied you guys up for about 40 minutes here. Questions that you may have for me about anything in the industry or our company or property management, or I didn't want to get off without giving you guys a chance to fire away at me here on anything that you may have today.
I've only got 2 things for you to work on.
Put them on me.
I have 4 logins to the portals for PPMG.
Congratulations. No, we're trying to do better. I hear you. And we're on it. We've been on it for 2.5 years. I've been promised some things by January 1st, but I'm not gonna say that it's gonna happen by then. But we hear you. We hear you loud and clear, and you're not the only one.
And the other one is the Oklahoma insurance deductibles for wind and hail, or SES has a challenge with that one.
And we are working on some other things on insurance today. And it's going to be a slow process, maybe by the end of the year. I hope to have something, especially in Oklahoma. We are aware of that up there, and we're not happy about it, but it is what it is today, and we are working on it. So,
yeah, from our perspective, I'd say that would be a big win for us in terms of consolidating the portals, because we own something in Memphis as well as in Texas. But other than that, I'd just be curious as to, I was curious about what other markets you might be going into, but you kind of tipped your hat on that one already with San Antonio, which is awesome. But Are there any other things that you're considering in terms of markets?
Well, we are going to start accepting other markets as far as managing properties. Today, we manage just about every property we have today. I told you a little bit about St. Louis. So we're going to open up here in the fall with managing properties for owners in other cities that we're in. And we have to be licensed. We're a licensed property management company, licensed real estate company in all the states that we're in. We're licensed in all the states. We're licensed in Florida, where we're not doing anything today, and we're in the process of being licensed in Alabama. That's where it's on our radar right there. So there are some other things in Arkansas that we're considering and looking at. So we're very calculated, one step at a time. We really did have some plans to start in March and April, and then COVID hit, and we just shut everything down and hunkered down to get everything taken care of that we had. And I'm sure every business across the country did, because nobody knew what was going to happen.
Oh, no, look, had COVID not happened, I would have bought 3 more from y'all by now, but I've been in cash, everyone's scared.
But I can sit here and tell you that our sales team never missed a beat. We have sold, I'm looking up here, they sold 66 houses in April, 70 houses in May, 83 in June, 85 in July, and we haven't missed a beat. And
I wish I could have bought all of them.
Chris and I and Brett, we look at our sales team sometimes and we're like, how did they sell these houses during COVID? And of course, everybody's locked up. They didn't have anything to do except not Netflix and buy houses. So that was
right.
We're real lucky to have investors that put the trust in us and embrace what we do and support us. But again, I always come back in the end and talk about our team. We have 90 plus people that work for us in all these cities. They do a fantastic job. We just kind of try to keep the big machine on the tracks here, and we got really great people in all of our departments. IT, the buying department, the selling department. I'm going to miss somebody here. The rental department, property management, finance department. We have really, really great people that make us look really good. But we have processes, and we're all about bringing you guys a tremendous experience, and it never gets old hearing people talk about our people and how we do. Are we perfect? Certainly not. Do we have room to improve? And I always try to talk about the 2 or 3% that we try to do better, that we know we can do better. What are you holding up there, Jim?
I took this from one of y'all's things.
That's our core values right there. Yes.
I keep it on my desk, and not all of them apply to my company, but I keep them on my desk to try to apply them in my company. They were just sitting back here.
Let me tell you, I'm down in our customer service department 2 or 3 times a day. And my main question is, how are our clients? Is everybody happy? Is there any fires? Anybody we need to call and talk to? Because we know that we have happy clients and we're communicating with them and we're talking to them and they have a great experience. They're going to buy more properties. Our company is going to continue to grow. But I always go looking for that 2% that we can do better. And that's really, really important to me, because I want to know if we have a bad customer survey or a bad rental survey or a bad home inspection, with everything, all of those areas we grade out. And we're going to look for the 2% that we can do better.
I'm told, Kent, that you read all the surveys.
Every one of them. We had 8 of them in here at our 1:00 meeting today.
And I can tell you, that's why I fill them out. If I thought they were just going to go off and not make a difference, I wouldn't fill them out. But I know that everyone comes back to your desk. So I always fill them out completely and honestly, and I'm very happy to do it.
Oh, and we read them in here, and if we have a survey that out of 10 that's below an 8, then if it's a resident survey, we're at that house with flowers and cookies on what we can do to make it better and fix that situation within 2 hours. And if it's something that comes back from an owner that has a title company or the loan company or even our closing department or our salesperson, then we're into that on how we can improve that process. Because my kids get kind of tired of me saying, but I'm chasing perfection and excellence every single day in here. And when we do that and we have that kind of mindset, we're going to have a really good company. And just trying to get better in all areas every day and not rest on our laurels, thinking that we know we do a pretty good job. But we always want to get better, and we always can get better. So final thoughts from you guys, and we'll jump off of here.
I don't have anything else to say except I think all of that effort and those the processes and principles and goals that you just described, I think it really comes through, and it really has created a company that I'm very comfortable in working with, and I've recommended it to a number of my friends or people that are interested in getting into real estate, perhaps not in their neighborhood but somewhere else.
Sure.
Yeah, it's paying off, and we see it. So thank you.
Well, on behalf of our family, we thank you for trusting us with your investments. Today, we're getting close to managing $1 billion worth of properties for investors around the world. And we take it very seriously. And it's our pleasure to serve you each and every day. I know our people feel the same way because they're great people that we have. Average people cannot work for us because the expectations are so high. Because we're here to please you, we're here to please our residents, we're here to take care of our staff, and we're here to please our vendors. And we take that very seriously every day. And on behalf of our family, I thank you for being on here. You guys did a great job today. It was really great having you on here, and we'll do it again somewhere down the road. And we're always available to talk if you ever need anything. And again, thank you for your support and being a client of ours all these years.
Thank you for the team you put together. I really do appreciate the level of effort it took to assemble that group, and they're awesome.
You guys stay safe and have a great week.
You as well. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.